No McFly ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley.
Well, history is going to change.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. I'm DJ Unification, also known as Arsenio Caldwell. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do a video talking about God speaks in many ways. And I'm telling y'all, once you get to know God, this is an amazing thing. Every day, He allowed me to live to see another day. I try to spend some time with Him, and you know, we gonna mess up, ladies and gentlemen. God knows this. He know we gonna mess up. That's why He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to die for our sins, because He know we're a bunch of sinners. You know, all of us have sinned and come short of His glory. Now, the people out here that toot their nose up at you and make you think that you know, they better than you. No, they ain't no better than you. The same person that's judging you when they slept with the pastor, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever, you know, slept with the pastor's daughter. I'm just telling you, don't be judgmental of people. But let me get to the point. My bad. I'm going off on a rant here. My fault. I want to talk about today Back to the Future. Back to the Future is an awesome series, ladies and gentlemen, starring Marty McFly, that's the main character on there, Michael J. Fox, and Doc Brown, I think his name, I forgot what his name, Christopher Lloyd, that's his name in real life, and it's one of the greatest series of all time. Pretty much Doc Brown in the show, not the show, but the series, like a show to me, he invented a time machine, and he made one of the time machines where he can go back and forward in time. And how God speaks to me through this Back to the Future is through Marty McFly. Now, when the first movie, he always, you recognize this through all the three movies, he always used to let what people say to him bother him. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I deal with that. That's one of my many faults. We all have faults. Like I said, we all have sinned and come short of His glory. One of my many faults is I worry about what people say and think about me. But you can't do that. And Marty McFly is a prime example. When anybody called him chicken in the movies, they say, "What are you, Marty McFly? Chicken?" And when they said chicken, he used to lose his mind. Pretty much, the villains in those stories, if they said chicken, they could get him to manipulate him and do whatever they wanted him to. Whatever they wanted him to do, if they called him chicken, he'll do whatever. That's a demonic spirit too. It's called spirit of manipulation. I forgot the proper name of it, but letting worrying about what people say and think about you, you can't do that. God been working with me on that. I know He worked with all of us, but I'm just saying I deal with that. And the way this movie spoke to me, like first movie, he let who was it? Somebody called him chicken. I think that either the first movie or the second movie. The second movie, I'm tripping. He let somebody call him chicken, and when they called him chicken, they punched him out. And next thing you know, I think he was spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Back to the Future, go watch it. It's a great show. I'm just saying, one of the scenes in there, he let somebody call him a chicken, and they were trying to go back in time to get an almanac that pretty much destroyed their lives, and his job was to go back and get the almanac. Excuse me. And he let somebody call him chicken, and that messed up his whole thing. And of course, Doc Brown was back there just to help him the whole time. And if you watch all three of the movies, the first and second movie, he kept letting what people say to him bother him, and by them saying something to him, they was always able to manipulate him into just tearing his life up. The first time it happened was in Back to the Future 2, and then it took 3 movies for Marty McFly to realize He can't worry about what people say and think about him. It finally hit him in the third movie because after one of his relatives, he saw one of his relatives and he talked to him. Sometimes it take a while. You know, us thick-headed folks, I can be thick-headed myself. Sometimes it take a while for things to sink in with us. You know, us hard-headed, thick-headed folks. I know I ain't the only person out there. But on the third movie, he finally snuck into him because his relative, he went back in the past, 1885. His relatives talked to him. He said, yeah, remind me of my cousin Jameson. He said, who? He said, Jameson, always worried about what people say and think about him. He ended up getting into a bar fight and killed him. He got killed. All he had to do was just walk away. Walk away. Let people say and think whatever they want to think about you. They talked about Jesus Christ like a dog. They hung him up on the cross. You know they going to talk about us believers. You know they going to do that. I'm trying to get that in my thick skull. And sometimes it's hard because you worry about that status quo. Worry about what people say and think about you. But well, how God spoke to me through this movie, on the third movie, Marty McFly, you know, they kept telling him about that. Kept telling him about people call him chicken. People call him chicken. He kept letting it bother him. And then just one day, it just snapped in his head. He was finna get ready to fight Mad Dog Tannen. And they was like, man, you better go out there and fight him. He said, because I got money on you, such, you know, you be the most yellowless person, such, this, that, and the third. And it just snapped. And he said, I don't care what they think. He's an a-hole. I don't care what they think. I don't care what anybody think. He said, I'm not finna go out there and fight him. That when deliverance finally took place. It spoke to me. I need to go back and watch that movie again, because after I watched that movie and that one scene I told y'all about, it just spoke to me in volumes. Can't worry about what people say and think about you, because people will use that to manipulate you to do whatever they want you to do. It finally struck into Martin McFly, and he didn't go out there and fight him. I ain't gonna tell no more of the movie, but he eventually got over that. And then he found out in an alternate universe where he was, that he was still letting, you know, he was in an alternate future, which thank God he had a time machine. He had let needles pressure him into losing his job. He lost his job because worrying about what people saying thought about him, trying to fit the status quo. He lost his job. And also you find out this too, letting people worry about what people think about him. He got into a race, and in this alternate future, tore his hand up, and because of that, he couldn't pursue his music no more. He lost his dream, worrying about what people said about him. The moral to this whole Back to the Future story is, don't worry about what people say about you. Do you. Do you. Don't worry about what this one say. Don't worry about that one say. Easier said than done, I know. But do you. And then by the end of the third movie, this was so tight about it. He was sitting up there with pretty much his wife to be. And they were talking about, she had like a paper in her hand, because she was going into that alternate future too. It had said, you're fired on there. And then it came back to Doc Brown, you know, the guy that invented the time machine. She asked him, said, hey Doc, it erased. It erased. He said, yes, your future erased. It's done. You said you make it whatever you want to make it, and you make it a good one. And then Martin McFly said, we will. See what happened when he finally listened to people. I got a problem with that too. God's still working with me on that too. When he finally listened to people, things turned out okay for the Martin McFly. Now I haven't played the video game they made after the movie. It's supposed to be a continuation of Back to the Future, but I'm just going by the main three. The moral of all that stuff I just told you, I know it's kind of blumbled up, but watch Back to the Future and pay attention to Marty McFly character. That's what really spoke to me. He didn't. Eventually, it took 3 movies, but eventually he got to his head. Don't worry about what people say and think about you. People gonna talk about you all day. That's people. People gonna be people. Shoot, I done talked about some folk before. You know, we human. All of us done did it. But the moral to this whole Back to the Future thing, I'm trying to tell y'all, don't worry about what people say and think about you. Be yourself. I know it's hard to be yourself because you want to fit in. You always want to fit in. I've been like that. He been doing the work in me. I'm here to tell y'all, don't worry about what people say and think about you. Do you. Don't worry about Jim, Tom, and Larry, what they think. Be yourself. Back to the Future is a prime example. That's how God's supposed to be through that Back to the Future. Martin McFly, his whole character, he speaks. It took him 3 movies to figure it out. And when he finally figured it out, they don't show what happens, but I'm tending to believe that, he got his wife and he lived to the full extent of the calling that God had on his life. But the moral of the story is, don't worry about what people say and think about you, because people will use that on you and manipulate you and have you doing God knows what, and get you in some messed up situations. Listen to what people say and think about you. Do yourself. Listen to God. God first. It's a saying of mine. Life may throw stuff at you sometime, but regardless, you got to keep on keeping on. I always put God first and you'll never go wrong. That's my quote, Arsenio Caldwell. God gave me that. Challenge y'all to do that. Don't worry about what people say and think about you. Do yourself. Do you. Figure out who you are on this earth. God, he'll tell you. Spend time with God. He will show you exactly who you are and what you were put here to do on this earth. He'll show you. Put him first, and he will show you. But the moral Back to the Future storyline is how it speaks to me, and how I can speak to y'all. Don't worry about what people say and think about you. Do you. Because if you do, people will manipulate you and mess you up. Do you. That about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen, for this rendition of, I'm so used to doing the other channel. God speaks in many ways. Leave comments below. Tell me. Hopefully that God used me to bless y'all with this. And remember, Jesus loves y'all. He loves me. He loves y'all all. It ain't too late. Jesus love you. Get to know him. Get to know him. Peace out.